The various armies of Mausropa march and skirmish throughout the warm winter of the year of the tempestuous serpent, until the snows arrive. The Crimsonian Cheesery is nearly bankrupted trying to feed their frozen armies in the field, and rely on an infusion of Edam from Zurin, which has recently joined the war on the side of the coalition. Various fortresses are placed under siege, including Port Adon, the capital of Prince Stepka, who has joined his army wintering on the shores of Lake Skondon. Spring heralds the year of the nebulous walrus. Maustrian cavalry raid into Crimsonia proper, the first since the war began, but are pushed back by local forces. Ziegel and Milberkäse fall to the Crimsonians under Citizen General Acorn, leaving the road to the Bergkäse, the Maustrian capital, wide open. In the south, Baron Verpelt returns to Montgrün to lay siege to a coalition fortress. But it is in the centre, around Port Adon, that armies march and battle will be joined. The Ublican General Bleu has a plan to cross the river Renden and engage Prince Stepka's forces near Lake Skondon, joining with a force arriving from the Maustrian army of the north under General Count Guderian. But this plan is foiled as scouts reveal a force marching from Zurin. Concerned he will be surrounded and trapped, Bleu pulls his forces back across the river and calls on Guderian to march to Port Adon to reinforce. Prince Stepka orders his coalition army to advance on Bleu's position. 3 divisions will attempt to force the bridge over the river Renden, while Durkin's division crosses downriver at Port Adun, meets up with the Zurinese divisions coming from the north, and attack Bleu before Guderian can arrive. The vanguard of Bleu's Grand Army of the Alliance is severely outnumbered at the bridge, but only a few units can cross at a time. All of the army's artillery has been placed to fire on the crossing point, and the rear division is marching to reinforce, while the centre division faces off with the Zurinese, who advance to threaten the Maustrian force. As the first units of Durkin's division approach from Port Adon, Stepka orders the Crimsonians to attack across the bridge. Devastating volleys and close-range artillery fire force the attackers to retreat, but there are plenty of units lined up behind, ready to cross. Guderian's army of the north begins to arrive as Crimsonian guns fire across the river, hoping to disrupt the Maustrian artillery. Another charge is ordered across the bridge, but the Crimsonian infantry halt to return fire, exchanging volleys. Maustrian guns force another supporting unit to retreat. The Crimsonian cannon find the range against the Maustrian artillery, disrupting a battery. Another unit charges across the bridge while Stepka tries and fails to rally disordered units. The chargers ignore the Maustrian volley and reach Melee, which swings back and forth for a few minutes before the Crimsonians break and run, while Maustrian artillery disrupt another unit. On the left, Zurinese cavalry have moved forward to slow the advance of Guderian's rear division, while in the centre the now combined Alliance cavalry advance to check the movement of Durkin's division. Couriers from Guderian reach Bleu, offering to reinforce the bridge crossing. But Bleu is confident. His 2 divisions can certainly hold the crossing point. Guderian agrees to engage the Zurinese force on the left, freeing centre division to advance against Durkin in the east. The Alliance army redeploys on these lines. Yet another charge is made across the bridge, and Stepka desperately tries to rally the Crimsonian units that have retreated. For a second time, a Crimsonian unit reaches Melee and are again driven back by defiant Maustrian defenders. General Bleu leaves his position on the hill overlooking the crossing point to attempt to bring order to the disrupted artillery, but the Crimsonian counter-battery fire is too intense, and the battery flees, carrying General Bleu's headquarters with them. Stepka finds some success in rallying 2 Crimsonian units and readies another attack, this time with the reconstituted Prince's own Mauskets. Early in the afternoon, the centre division and the combined cavalry engage Durkin's Aduns, and force them to withdraw and reorganize. On the left, Guderian's army is marching on the Zurinese position, who withdraw behind the stream. General Bleu's headquarters are still disordered, and there is a rumour that the general himself is wounded. This turns out not to be true, but his mount has been shot from under him. A new mount is provided, and Bleu and the nearby artillery unit rally and prepare to return to the fray. This time it is Adern units that charge across the bridge. A unit of infantry is pinned and stops to return fire, but the Prince's own Mauskets shrug off the defensive infantry and artillery fire and reach Melee. The battle is close and vicious, but the Prince's own are defeated and forced to retreat. Yet another charge across the bridge has failed. In the east, Centre Division moves against Durkin with a combined infantry and cavalry charge. The heavy cavalry are devastated by the Adon infantry fire, and the light cavalry smashed upon the Adon squares. The Alliance cavalry is destroyed in a matter of minutes. At the bridge, Adoan volleys disrupt the Maustrian defenders. Meanwhile, Zuranese reinforcements have entered the field, arriving at the end of an extended march. The other Zuranese units continue to fall back, abandoning the stream as Gudarian advances. At the bridge, Stepka meets his retreating guard and chides them back into order. If they will stand and reform, then the prince himself will lead them again across the bridge and to victory. The guards squeak in excitement, and the pipes begin to wail. In the east, Durkin's heavy cavalry can no longer withdraw safely and decide to charge. But the Maustrian infantry are veterans and quickly form square. The cavalry are shattered by determined volley fire and abandon the field. In the north, Gudarian keeps driving his units forward. The Zuranese cannot fall back forever. Centre Division launches its guards at the cannon on the hill, but are disrupted by close-range fire, while another unit is disrupted by Adoan musketry. General Bleu leads the artillery back down the hill to defend the bridge, then joins himself to the Maustrian unit at the head of the bridge. Now is the moment of decision, and here come the prince's own muskets, with Stepka himself leading the way. The Maustrian unit fires the last of their ammunition. They have been guarding the bridge all day, but the Adoans ignore the volley fire and charge home. The battle is close at first, with the Adoans nearly breaking, but Stepka is everywhere at once, squeaking his defiance and waving his bloody sabre. Again the guard waver, and Stepka bullies them to stand and fight, and suddenly it is the Maustrians that have lost heart. Exhausted by a full day's battle, the infantry are overwhelmed, break, and run. General Bleu tries to stem the tide, but is shot in the side. He is pulled from the battle by an aide-de-camp, and bleeds to death on the hillside overlooking the river. His last words are, "My compliments to my cousin, General the Count Guderian. Beg him to assume command of the army." The prince's own muskets, meanwhile, have pursued their opponents into a fresh unit of defenders, and are nearly destroyed again, apart from Stepka inspiring them to deeds of great valour. Their furious assault overwhelms the Ooblekan defenders, who break and run. The bridgehead is not secure, but it has been taken. Stepka calls a halt to the advance and begins reforming his ranks and calling for reinforcements. Unaware that Bleu is dead and the bridgehead lost, Centre Division launches another assault on the Adoan cannons and is again repulsed, not by grapeshot, but by determined defence by the outnumbered gunners. Gudarian is also unaware of what has happened behind him and launches the Maustrian guards of his van division at the Zuranese. The Zuranese volleys are ineffective, and the guards strike home, pushing back the regular infantry, who break and run, and devastating the militia, who simply cannot resist the elite Maustrians. Darkness comes quickly in early spring, so Stepka launches some final charges in an attempt to drive the last of Bleu's army from the field. The Ooblekan infantry stop the prince's own muskets with a serious volley, while the Maustrian artillery fire grapeshot that halts the Crimsonian charge. On the left, Gudarian's artillery inflicts serious damage on the Zuranese cavalry, while in the east the rippling volleys of both sides indicate stalemate. Gudarian has now been informed that Bleu has fallen, but decides that the best way to save the army is to destroy the Zuranese forces. Both divisions charge and win a series of decisive victories, shrugging off ineffective volleys and charging home. The regulars on the left put up a stiff resistance before eventually breaking in the face of relentless Maustrian attacks. The militia put up little fight, and the Maustrians join the charge into the disordered heavy horse. One Maustrian unit is destroyed by the cavalry, but the guards drive the enemy to break and run from the field. The guards on the right quickly overrun their opponents. 6 Zuranese units have been destroyed. Gudarian has lost 1. Stalemate in the east and persistent fire at the bridgehead gradually dies away as night falls. Stepka is exultant and plans to renew the attack in the morning, imagining his superior forces will drive the enemy from the field. Then he learns of the disaster that has befallen his Zuranese allies, that they have retreated back across the border. Gudarian remains on the field and is consolidating his now superior force on high ground. Stepka has a choice, to stand and fight again, or fall back and try another day.